to Swiss America Trading Chairman Craig Smith and New York Republican congressional candidate and big business owner. She doesn't call it big, but it's a big pharmaceutical concern. It's making a lot of money, employs a lot of folks. Candidate Claudia Tenney. Claudia, ended with you. What do you make of this idea that companies, and you know a thing or two about putting a balance sheet together, are leaving and seeking out, I don't know, greener pastures?
Obamacare, medical device tax affected our business terribly. Once you add the 2% medical device tax, businesses leave, and that happened to our company. We had a business that we were doing almost $1 million a year with, moved to Mexico when the medical device tax was instituted. That hurts our local business. When our local business with nearly 80 employees is affected, that it affects our entire community. That's why businesses are leaving. You can look at what you just cited, 35%, 12% income tax or income tax against corporations.
Pretty basic math
That's
equation.
Huge.
Yeah.
We have Microsoft, Apple, huge companies, American companies that have cash reserves overseas because they don't want to pay this huge freight when they come over here. Why are they? We should be reducing these tax rates and encouraging American businesses to bring those cash reserves here and reinvest in America. And the politicians don't get it. They're scaring people away because they're not business owners. And it
shows in their thinking. But
Absolutely.
Craig Smith, if you think about it, it's the politicians and the Senator Levins and the others who are calling them the criminals. What do you make of that?
Yeah, isn't that the kettle calling the pot black? I mean, your guest just hit it on the button. Look at just what the medical device taxes caused. Claudia talked about the 2.3% payment, but think about all the paperwork that her corporation has to do to fill out the Form 760 to get that done. 44 companies have already done this tax inversion deal. There's 14 recently that have been done. Neil, this makes sense for corporations. And think about it. In order for Medtronic to get their tax payment down to 18.4% last year, they had to leave $20 billion worth of unremitted earnings overseas. Now they're going to be able to access those funds and be able to use it for...
All of that's perfectly legal. Now, I guess what I'm...
absolutely.
Yeah, what I'm wondering, Claudia, is where this goes and the message it sends. Because not just to those who make a deal so that they can take advantage of this, but those who have foreign operations already say, you know, we're in Ireland, we're in all of these places, we might as well make that our domicile. We might as well make that our home base. I really can't blame them just looking at the math.
Yeah, why would you want to come back here? Why our business? Where can we go? We're small enough that we're not going to be able to basically leave. We could leave New York State, you know, a state that's lodged 50th in business friendliness, 50th, meaning we have the highest tax burdens. Our family, we love New York. Our employees are fantastic, and right now, you know, we consider, you know, we always consider
leaving. Through the nose, doing
absolutely, and you know what they're doing now? I have Remington Arms in my district right now, and Remington Arms is already moving some of their jobs down to Alabama. Why? Because not only the New York SAFE Act, but also because New York is an unfriendly place to do business, in spite of all that you hear from our governor talking about how great it is to do business in New York.
Well, there is that. You know, but Craig, what would it take to stop this exodus? Because it's picked up pace, and it's more than just a tax thing. It's the regulation thing that Claudia's point is about, the healthcare thing. It's just about being hassled. And a lot of formerly socialist countries are the first to say, you know, if we just undercut them on taxes and regulations, they'll come here. They get it, ironically. And I just find that kind of odd, you know?
Yeah, Claudia just hit it on the head, Neil. I mean, look, you got to make an environment where it's conducive for businesses. And think about it. A couple of weeks ago, you and I were talking about it. The president invited a bunch of foreign business leaders into the White House to talk about what would be necessary to bring their businesses over here. Well, it's real simple. Let's come up with a reduction of corporate income taxes. For example, that $20 billion that's offshore, why don't you tax it at 10%? It costs them $2 billion. They can have $18 billion to invest in America. Number two, Neil, which I think is more important, is the regulation and the uncertainty that Mr. Obama and his administration represents. He could change his mind tomorrow on another tax, or delaying this mandate, or foregoing this. You have to have certainty in business.
But should there be a proviso? I understand, but Claudia, real quick, should there be a proviso attached to getting the more than $2.5 trillion that companies hold abroad? And many people say, to Craig's point, all right, give a lower tax or whatever to bring it back here, with the understanding you're going to hire with that. Why should there be a quid pro quo? Why can't they just get the money, take it back here with no penalty.
There shouldn't be a quid pro quo. Why shouldn't you just have a free market system? That is the most objective way to operate.
That's
a free
right.
market system doesn't have the government putting its hands into it and saying,
But would you as a business would be open to that, where there was that, all right, we'll bring the money back here if you agree to hire X number of workers or you agree to whatever?
But how can you put an artificial number on it? If you hire so many employees, you're going right to the bottom line. And as businesses compete, not only a small business like ours, but publicly traded corporations have to compete on a national scale and an international scale.
Gotcha.
So what are you going to do? Put them in and say, here's more restrictions, here's an increase in the minimum wage, here's more regulations you have to contend with to make you
Very
less
good
competitive.
Point. Real quickly, Craig, Senator Levin was among those who said the last tax holiday we gave companies that had money overseas, they didn't do what we wanted them to do. And I thought to myself, well, they're not there to do your bidding. It's their money, it's the corporation's money, it's the shareholders' money. But in other words, there is a shock when companies might repatriate those funds back in the United States. If it's $2.5 trillion for whatever purpose, what do you think the effect would be on the economy? It all came back here.
Oh, it would be very positive, Neil. You and I both know formulation of capital is the essence of the American free market system. And what's amazing is CBO did a little report. This nonsense that they're doing in Washington costs them about $18.5 billion a year, Neil. So they're cutting their noses off to spite their faces. We should go back to free market principles. Let's lower taxes, get lower regulations. Look, let's not just run things amok. It's kind of like Claudia's business. She's going to run that business properly to make sure her employees are taken care of, her customers are taken care of. We know how to run businesses. The government needs to get out of the way. The Fed needs to stop printing money, and we know completely well how to run businesses in America.
Guys, thank you both very, very much.